Welcome to the Cartódromo Internacional do Algarve, one of Europe's premier karting circuits, situated in the stunning region of southern Portugal. Located just a short drive from the picturesque town of Portimão, the Algarve region is famous for its golden beaches, dramatic cliffs and rich cultural heritage. The karting track sits right next to the Algarve International Circuit that's played host to major motorsport events in the past, such as MotoGP and Formula One. And this weekend it plays host to the champions of the future, shifters. It is KZ, KZ2 and KZ2 Masters here under the sunshine in southern Portugal, about to do battle in their Super Heats and their finals coming up in a few moments' time. So much has happened over the course of this weekend. We have seen dramatic racing results. We've seen the rain. We've seen wet, horrible conditions. We've seen the wind from yesterday. But today is a beautiful, calm and sunny day. Perfect for some real hot racing out on track. I'm your commentator, Anthony Jordan. I'll be taking you through all the action over the course of today's races, and we have got many races to get through. We've got the KZ Super Heat. We've got two of the KZ2 Super Heats, KZ2 Masters Super Heats, and then we go into all three of those finals later on today. Those finals due to kick-start at around 1 o'clock local time here in Portugal. There you can see the KZ Super Heat lined up, ready to go. The action on track is the last of the warm-up sessions for the KZ2 Masters. They're just finishing that. And there, a beautiful sight of the marshals working hard here at the Algarve circuit here, the Cartódromo Internacional do Algarve. The marshals have done an absolutely fantastic job all weekend to make sure our drivers stay nice and safe out on circuit. Like I say, battling all of those conditions as well, with the rain, the wind, and now today, that sunshine out there. Like we say, so much going to be happening over the course of the day, so make sure you stay tuned. The racing due to start at around 9:50 on track, which is in around 3 minutes time or so. So make sure you sit down, buckle in, and get ready for some really great racing. Over the course of yesterday, like we said, we had multiple qualifying heats for all of them, and at the end of the day, Jeremy Iglesias was leading the intermediate classification points for KZ. For KZ2, it was Artem Sevrukin leading the points, and in KZ2 Masters, Anthony Abbas leading the points at the end of the day. They will be your pole sitters throughout the course of today as well. So again, we look forward to seeing what they can do. There, a fabulous view of the circuit here in Portimão. 17 turns around this circuit, 1,531 meters. 10 turns to the right, 7 to the left, and a dizzyingly high top speed of 161 kilometers an hour in towards turn number 2's braking zone. But there you can see KZ is the first race that is coming up. The Super Heats, 13 laps, 20-kilometer race distance. And it all starts with the man, Jeremy Iglesias, starting on pole position. An absolutely superb run he had over the course of yesterday. And let's see how it unfolded yesterday. Here's some of the highlights. Friday's races for KZ started with 2 qualifying heats, and it'd be Jeremy Iglesias and Pedro Hilbrand who would dominate the top 2 places in both the first races. Senna van Wallstein, though, in the first race certainly had more to think about after he danced across the circuit, amazingly avoiding any more dramas. Jorge Pescador was another driver who certainly delivered in the first day of racing on Thursday, but Friday wasn't his day, ending his first day backwards in the wall at turn number 1. But it was the third place battles that certainly impressed. Mine Kramer's taking the third place in Heat 2, but it was Giuseppe Palomba in Heat 3 who took his third place victory. But for the rest of the field, the top 5 would be as so. Iglesias with 141 from Pedro Hilbrand, Kramer's from Palomba, and Emilian Denner rounding out the top 5 at the end of Friday's racing. Well, it was an action-packed day yesterday from what you can see. So many drivers with the ups and downs, and the biggest one there, I've got to say, is Jorge Pescador, second in his first race, but then, of course, crashing out at turn number 1. I think mechanical failure in nature, and then getting a P11. But there on your screen, Jeremy Iglesias from France for the CRG Racing Team. 5th place in time, qualifying 3rd in his first qualifying heat, but it was on Friday yesterday where he claimed the 2 wins that put him right in the spot that he is right now. And we caught up with him at the end of those qualifying heats. Here's what he had to say ahead of today's racing. Jeremy Iglesias, who's also starting on pole position tomorrow for the Superheats. Jeremy, so far, so good this weekend. How are you feeling?
Yeah, I feel really good. We came here to test a different thing for the World Championship, to be honest, to prepare the big race of the year. I'm really confident because we are fast in all the conditions. Yesterday in rain condition we were really good. And today the plan was to try everything and make the best possible to understand what is happening with this tire and this condition. Looks strong. Hopefully it's going to be the same way tomorrow.
Yeah. Anything you want to change with anything over the course of tonight? You know, you're saying it's perfect, but there's always improvements that can be made. Are you thinking there's anything out there at all?
Yes, of course. Okay, I won 2 hits today, but I'm quite happy. But I think we can improve a lot. So we will work with the team tonight and maybe make a different solution for tomorrow. And we have 15 minutes of warm-up, Super Heat, to build the best possible for the final.
It's going to be a busy day tomorrow, of course, Superheats and finals. But like you say, it's all preparation for what's coming up. But are you feeling confident and ready for tomorrow?
Yes. I feel quite good. Now we have the track coming a bit with more grip. I think tomorrow is going to be the same weather. So look what tomorrow brings, and I hope, and I'm quite confident for tomorrow also.
Oh, great to chat there to our man Jeremy Iglesias, starting this one on pole position. But we'll have the close company of Pedro Hilbrand starting alongside the Spaniard, certainly delivering over the course of yesterday. 4th overall in time qualifying, P4 in his first race on Thursday. Then yesterday and Friday, 2 second places puts him in a really strong spot here on that front row. But again, it's all been about the race starts here this weekend. So many drivers have been struggling to get these KZ karts off the line. Some drivers bogging down, some a little bit of a jump start as well. So we have seen the ups and downs, the perils a little bit in that one. But the rest of the field as well, certainly having good getaways. Main question on this one, Mine Kramers, who's starting this one on the 2nd row of the grid. You can see him there just on the left-hand side of your screen in the 413 Tony Kart livery. Pole position in time qualifying. Certainly started his weekend well. Took a qualifying heat win to start the weekend. However, his day yesterday was fraught with a little bit of drama. 3rd place in his first qualifying heat yesterday. That wasn't too bad, but then struck with a P12, put him back on the 2nd row of the grid. But we have seen drivers from further back in the grid get the good getaways at the start. So again, it's not over just yet for any one of these drivers. And of course, it will determine where they finish in this one, where they will start for their finals later on today. Giuseppe Palomba is a driver who has impressed, though. The driver starting on the 2nd row of the grid in P4, 20th place in time qualifying, has slowly made his way up the order. Started, of course, the weekend P20, gained 10 places in his first one, putting himself up to P10, a 4th and then a 3rd yesterday, put him in prime position on that 2nd row of the grid. So we look forward to seeing what he can do. Engines have fired up and everyone making their way out onto the circuit. Let's quickly take you through the starting lineup then for the first race of the day and the first Superheats for KZ. It's Jeremy Iglesias and Pedro Hilbrand on row number 1. Mine Kramers and Giuseppe Palomba round out row number 2. They'll have Emilian Denner and Paolo Ippolito on row 3. Victor Gustafsson and Jorge Pescador go from row 4. They'll have Danilo Albanese and Adrian Renadin on row 5. Alta Cabanel and Stan Pex round out row number 6. They'll have Senna van Walstein and Lorenzo Travasanuto, this year's 2024 European champion, on row 7. They'll have Ricardo Longone and Joao Seguel on row number 8 with Francisco Salenta and Lorenzo Camplese, who was 2nd in time qualifying, starting this one on the 9th row of the grid in P18. Lewis Speck and Matteo Vigano round out row number 10. They'll have Matis Torinjani and David Trefilov on row 11. Jan Cuovo and Jay Irwin round out the 20 4-kart field out on circuit. Well, the drivers now getting themselves all sorted out. Some of the drivers, again, I don't think deploying the fresh set of tyres. A lot of them will have used them yesterday, but let's see what is happening. Well, in fact, a lot of drivers have deployed new tyres. They've saved them until this one. In fact, the only two drivers who haven't deployed anything is Lorenzo Camplese and Jan Koivu. They deployed those earlier on in the weekend, I do believe. So everyone else using what they have remaining of their tyre allocation for the qualifying heats and Superheats phase. There's a look at race control. Head of race control, Joanna Falcao, in the foreground, joined in race control by Mikael Redin in the background there, watching the 40 cameras strewn all over the circuit, watching the racing this weekend. They're in constant communication with our race director, Martin Bean, who stands on the start gantry, poised and ready to start the lights procedure here and kickstart the day of racing on Saturday for finals day. It is Super Heat for KZ, about to get underway. It is a long old race, this one, 13 laps, 20-kilometer race distance, as Jan Koivu gets his kart in position. The driver from Finland certainly having a difficult weekend in his first appearance in the series. Green flag waving at the back. We are moments away from getting the first race started as the revs start to rise. The sun is shining, already 18 degrees here in the Algarve as we get the 3 red lights, 4 red lights. Lights are out, we are racing. It's a brilliant start for Pedro Hilbrand. He gets the jump on Jeremy Iglesias and gets the lead straight away down towards turn number 2, but he can't, well, he can hold it on, and it's there in Jeremy Iglesias down into second place. Everyone else getting through. You can still there, Martin Kramer's in third place. He's held on to that one. The other CPP sport car, I think, is Palomba, who's there in P4. He's still had a good start here. So again, he's going to hold on to this one. Nice breakaway at the front, though. And it's Pedro Hilbrand who holds on to this one nicely. Looks like the Cali kart there has moved up as well. I believe that's Jorge Pescador. Again, Pescador yesterday really impressed myself. 14 positions he gained in the first race on the first opening lap. He started that race P16. He ended the first lap in second place, and he certainly put that to his advantage in the first race. And like I say, it all came to blows, though, in qualifying Heat 2 earlier yesterday, but he's put that behind him now, and he's focusing on today. So it's Hilbrand from Iglesias, Kramers from Denner, Pescador from Ippolito, then it's Palomba from Renadin, Pax from Gustafsson, Travasanuto's up into 11th place now from Carbonell, Van Walstein is still there in 13th place, Albanese in 14th, as they all try to sort themselves out now, all the way down the field. Everyone still looking strong, but at the moment, Martin Kramer's looking like he wants to go on the charge here on Jeremy Iglesias. Now, speaking to Iglesias, he said, no, everything seemed good. We were happy with the setup. That's what he was saying, but he did think that maybe there could be some changes he could make to the kart. But right now, if they have made any changes, they certainly don't seem to be working in his favor, as Hilbrand has got the lead and has already opened up a near 7/10 of a second lead on this one. Well, Kramers, he was quickly piling on the pressure to Iglesias, but now Emilian Denner's piling on the pressure. The two go wheel to wheel through turn 1, and dust getting kicked up from Martin Kramers. Amazingly keeps it on the circuit. We go live on board with Kramers now down towards turn number 5, and as you can see, cannot get the fight back on Emilian Denner and stays there in P4. Jorge Pescador now with a chance to close in and see if he can get up to P4, as Hilbrand, with that lead, is controlling this race, now setting the fastest lap of the race, a 56.953, considerably faster than what the KZs were doing in time qualifying, but that was, of course, it was raining and they were out in slick tyres, so it certainly didn't go their way in time qualifying for the KZ category. Certainly shifted the pack around quite some way. There is Paolo Ippolito under pressure as well from Giuseppe Palomba just behind. Palomba not able to capitalise in the opening stages now, but can he capitalise now as Jorge Pescador dives down the inside, tries to get through, and now Paolo Ippolito goes wheel to wheel with Kramers. Kramers holds off the attack, but there you can see the great old switchback from Ippolito, and it gets through and past Kramers. And Kramers right now Well, despite having the new tyres affixed on his kart, the same as, well, everyone else at the moment out there as well, he is dropping back in this order. Palomba just behind now. Edwin is there as well, up 2 places in P8. He's got Stan Pex and Arthur Carbonell rounding out the top 10. Pex is up 3 places so far, so he's looking like the most feared driver out there. Despite you've got David Trefilov, though, on a charge. 7 places gained, is inside the top 15 now. So he's having a really good run. Not sure what's happened to Victor Gustafsson, though. He's dropped down to P17, 10 places. He's lost in this one after starting at P7 on track. The driver who qualified 3rd at the beginning of this weekend, now starting to fade on the most important day here. Through turn 5 they go, back up the hill as we're on lap 5 of 13 right now. And Hilbrand's lead increasing, 1.1 seconds from the rest. This battle here, the one on your screen, Jorge Pescador and Paolo Ippolito. This is the battle for P5 and 4. Let's see what happens as, like I say, Jorge Pescador has delivered over the course of this weekend. Plagued with some issues. Oh, I thought that Ippolito was going for the move there down the inside. It's been a favourite of the drivers going through turn 14. Of course, it's quite steep uphill there. The speed is low. They get really slowed down by turn 13 through that sort of tight chicane area there. It's like a very tricky braking zone. You're turning and braking at the same time as this time down the inside. Paolo Ippolito gets it done and moves past Jorge Pescador into P4. And a beautiful little overtake there. That brings Kramer's back into play. We go on board with Kramer's, and you can see here, well, not too much movement with the steering wheel. It's, again, the pace is good. His sectors are good out there. It's just the start. It's just been fumbled a little bit here. It's tough to start on that inside of row number 2. Yes, you've got the pole sitter right in front of you, but with Hilbrand getting the getaway off the line, you can imagine Kramer's may have been a little bit held up there at the start behind Jeremy Iglesias. However, Iglesias still there in P2. Looking in the intermediate classification points then, the Superheat points being applied. Iglesias in 2nd place would still lead it. 210 points. Pedro Hilbrand with the win. Closes the gap, but it's 201 intermediate classification points. There is Pedro Hilbrand leading the way, now clear by 1.4 seconds. You would need Iglesias to drop down a fair few more places in this race to help secure pole position, but like you say, I don't think he's too worried about that one. He started this race in P2 on the outside. If he can start that final in exactly the same spot and just repeat what's happened, might be all good. But let's see what happens here, because Emilian Denner has been quiet in these last few laps. He's been slowly reeling in Jeremy Iglesias in 2nd place. The CRG versus the Sodi chassis about to go to work here. This is a replay further back. This is Emilian Denner getting past the likes of Mike Kramer's, and Kramer's getting squeezed out onto that dirty part of the track. The on board from it, oh, there you go. You can see how much debris and how much dust goes on that tyres. Got to really trust it going into the next corner, because again, there at that part of the track, they are reaching the top speed, 161 kilometers an hour into that braking zone. So again, they do have to be extremely, extremely careful. You've seen a lot of people running wide at this corner as well. The exit of turn number 7 into the run to turn 8, as down the inside, oh, that was a feisty one from Stan Pex. Daniel Albanese just squeezing the door closed there. That's allowed Senna Van Walstein to break through. So these are battles happening around the P10 area. That is a close battle, actually. Daniel Albanese, Arthur Carbonell, Van Walstein, Pex, and Travis Anuto in that fray. David Trefilov is there still up into P13, 9 positions gained out of Adrian Renadin. And Gustafsson now leading the next train of karts just behind. Eyes on this one, though. Here's Denner, Ippolito, Pescador, Kramer's. I think that's Giuseppe Palomba on the rear bumper now of Mine Kramer's. So again, these battles are starting to ensue now. 2 by 2 as they make their way through. So Hilbrand clear by 1.7. Iglesias and Denner very close for 2nd place. Then you've got the 2 of Paolo Ippolito and Jorge Pescador. Cut just behind them, you get these 2 here, Mine Kramer's and Giuseppe Palomba. line astern. Then you have Albanese and Carbonell, and then you have that large train just behind there. Senna van Wallstein in that battle also. But eyes on this one here. Kramer's looking comfortable right now. He's not leaving any gaps down the inside. Runs a little wide there out of turn 16. Might have the company of Giuseppe Palomba down to the apex of turn number 2 here. If he can get the slipstream to work for him. No, not close enough this time around. Stays behind. Again, we'll keep a close eye on these battles, but at the moment, race time is slowly running out. We're on lap 10 of 13. At this point yesterday, race would have been over. So again today, they get those extra little laps in. Matteo Vigano seeing a warning flag. The driver of the 402, currently running around in 19th place. Does need to be careful. Looking a little further down in the intermediate classifications as well. Emilian Denner in his position has got himself up to 3rd in the points, so will start himself P3 for the final. Kramer's going down to 4th. Paolo Polito's got himself up to 5th in the points ahead of Palomba. Pescador has got himself up to 7th now in the points as well, so there has been some chopping and changing. As we head on to lap 11 now, this field heading across the line there. Further down, there is David Trefilov in the Maranello kart. He is the biggest mover on circuit at the moment. 9 places gained. Currently running in 13th place. He has got the 2024 European champion right ahead of him, Lorenzo Travasanuto, who certainly hasn't had a great weekend so far. Here he's always been around that mid-section, P9, 17th and a 13th over the course of the weekend. But again, not seen him battling at the sharp end like we did a few weeks ago in Italy. But right now here in Portugal, all going his way. And certainly still looking strong here. He's right on that rear bumper of Stan Pex. Pex as well, who's only up the 1 spot. Pushing his way through turn 16. Using all the track and more available to them. Back on board here with Mayan Kramers through turn number 1. Carrying the speed and my goodness, using all the track available to them there as they reach a staggering 100 miles an hour, 160 kilometers an hour out on circuit. Absolutely dizzying speeds in short circuit racing in the KZ category. Well, you can see everything working like clockwork there on his wagon. But right now, Hiltbrand, Iglesias, Denner, Paolo Ippolito, Jorge Pescador, Mayan Kramers, Giuseppe Palomba, Senna van Wallstein, Danilo Albanese and Ante Carbonell still locking out the top 10. No changes on that last lap. Francisco Salenta did get past Lorenzo Camplese on that last lap. Camplese actually going down a couple of positions as Matteo Vigano getting through as well, now up into P18. On to the final lap then, and Hiltbrand's lead, 2.1 seconds. Done everything he can to try and close the gap up to maybe start on pole for that final later on today. It's just not going to be enough though, with Iglesias still there in 2nd place. But with Hiltbrand yet to claim his first win of the weekend, this will certainly be a confidence booster heading into that final later on today. That is going to be a long old race though, 20 lap final ahead of the KZ field later on today. Down the hill then in towards turns 12 and 13, the Spaniard who is known for his skill in single speed racing, now in the gearbox class, delivering what he needs and looking mighty strong here. Out of turn 17, it's Pedro Hiltbrand to the line. He claims his first win of the weekend and will start on the front row for that final. But it is Jeremy Iglesias who finishes in 2nd place. He will secure pole position for the final later on today in the KZ class here in the Algarve region. Well, there is Hiltbrand. He'll be delighted with that. He'll make his way back to Parc Ferme. Iglesias finishing in 2nd place. Emilian Denner at the end of that finishing in 3rd and does secure 3rd place for the final later on today. Paolo Ippolito finishing in P4 on track, secures P5 for the final later on. Jorge Pescador as well, gaining good positions in that race, finishing P5 on track and bumps himself up to 7th on the grid for that final. So again, we look forward to that one. That's due to start at 1 o'clock local time. So if you're here for just the KZ category, make sure you set your alarms for that, but don't go anywhere. Plenty more racing coming up. Pedro Hilbrand then taking the win ahead of Jeremy Iglesias, Emilian Denner from Paolo Ippolito, Jorge Pescador from Mine Kramers, Giuseppe Palomba from Senna van Wallstein, Daniel Albanese from Attacabanel, Stan Pex from Lorenzo Travasanuto, then it's David Trefilov from Victor Gustafsson, Ricardo Longoni rounding out the top 15 from Edion Wenedin, from Salenta, Vigano Complese, Irwin, Torangiani, Koivu from Specs, the only retirement, unfortunately, Johan Segal retiring after only a couple of laps of this race. But there on your screen, Pedro Hilbrand, certainly a fantastic way to start the day, and he can now relax until later on when he knows he will start on that front row, and he's looking to see if he can make it a carbon copy of what he just did in that race, see if he can come away on top at the end of this weekend. Let's have a look at those highlights and that race getaway from your man who started on the front row there. Absolutely perfect for Pedro Hilbrand, pushing his way through very nicely at the start of that race. And again, getting away in the early stages, just holding on to the inside line going in towards turn 2, despite the best efforts there from Jeremy Iglesias to try and hold on to that position. Just wouldn't get away too well. Lorenzo Mine Kramers there getting caught out quite a bit at the start of that race as he went wheel to wheel with Emilian Denner. Denner getting through and finishing that one in P3, but Kramers, like you say, holding on to it. Then you had the likes of Paolo Ippolito going wheel to wheel with Jorge Pescador. Pescador and Ippolito gaining good results at the end of that one. But across the line, of course, Pedro Hilbrand delighted with the result there, and we'll start on the front row for the final later on today. Stay tuned for that one. Quickly as they came in, the next route makes its way out onto the circuit. It's KZ2 for Super Heat 1 heading out on track. Let's take you through the full starting lineup for this race. You have Artem Sevrukin yesterday, maximum points after a pole position, starts this one on pole position. He will have Dion van Verven for company alongside. Matteo Spergel, this year's 2024 European champion, starts it on the second row. He'll have Jean-Louis starting alongside. Nicholas Roos and Juho Valtonen go from row 3. Timo Jungling and Maxim Orlov start from row 4. Eric Holm and Paavo Tonteri go from row 5. They'll have Kirill Kutzkov and Martti Rittinen on row 6. Matthias Morgato and Alessio Pacini round out row number 7. Igor Nozov and Nacho Tunion go from row 8. They'll have Arta Pulain and Maximilian Schleimer on row 9. Enzo Boll and Victor Larsen go from the top 20 on row 10. Matis Pruch and Len Struer round out row 11. They'll have Ken Algri and Santiago Ribeiro on row 12. Eli Goldstein and Gianni Andresani go from row 13. Emmanuel Mai and Len Neisch go from row 14. They'll have Julius Lassen and Simon Reckenmacher on row 15. Francisco Paredes and Karol Pasovic go from row 16. They'll have Emma Felbermeyer and Matilda Patz on row 17. Josip Vey and Louis Alves round out the 36 kart field. And it looks to me like all drivers are out on track, which is good to see. No drama further down the order. Absolutely fantastic. So you have to remember, though, the cutoff for this one, only 36 get to race in that final. Everyone who is on the 10th row backwards is on that cutoff. So they do need to be careful here. They need to gain places. They do not want to get caught out in a first lap incident. It was a very busy day yesterday, but today only a handful of drivers have saved those tyres. We'll talk about that a little bit later on and see who moves up the order. Right now, everyone is primed and ready to get this race underway. It's been the largest grid we've seen so far. Of course, multiple drivers getting through into this one, only the top 72 getting through. We did lose a fair few drivers from the qualifying heats yesterday. Mario Panazio, unfortunately, was the first of those drivers to be eliminated. Jose Antonio was the last to just squeeze through, joint on points, but out-qualified. Green flag waves at the back. Looks like we are ready to go racing here as the lights procedure starts. 3 red lights, 4 red lights. Lights go out, we are racing, but there's a bit of confusion there. Some karts go, some karts don't. And I have no idea if there was a jump start there or just drivers didn't see the lights going out. But crucially, at the front of that one, I don't think it's Artem Sevrukin. I think he got caught out. No, it is the Sodi kart. It's Dion van Verven that leads the way, but was it a jump start? Because, well, that was a very interesting start there for the KZ2 Super Heat 1. But let's see what happens. And Dion van Verven, he's got a problem. He's got a problem. The driver who started this one on the front row of the grid steps out of his kart, and he's out of contention. He was leading the way, and his kart just grinds to a halt on circuit, and he's out. Well, I don't think that will affect him too badly. I still think he'll make it into the final. He will drop down quite significantly, though, in the grid. But that's not what you want to see at all. And his race is over, and he's got a long time to wait now until his final later on today. Again, of course, if he makes it, I need to double-check the points on that one, but I think where he was, I think he should be okay. Yeah, he only drops down to P5 in this one, so he's absolutely fine. So now you've got a new leader in the likes of Artem Sevrukin. This, though, is the battle for second place. Jean-Louis holding on to that one at the moment. The driver who put it third in time qualifying, currently running in P2, and has got the 2024 KZ2 European champion of this year right behind him in the likes of Matej Bajel, who was trying to push his way through. Only took 1 qualifying heat win yesterday, did Bajel. And again today, looking to see if we can try and capitalize on this one. The main thing they need to try and do here is work together and close up to Artem Sevrukin, because at the moment he is looking to start on pole position. He has been uncontested right now, and he is looking for a clean sweep as he breaks away by over a second now. Well, he's still around just under a second, actually, as it updates on my screen. But still, that's a mighty gap these drivers need to close as we go 3 wide there in through turn number 4. Just in the background, down the inside, you're seeing there one of the Madea karts trying to get through. Maxim Orlov trying to deliver a good result here. Currently running in P4. A little further down as well, you've got the other Mondea karts, Alessio Pacini as well, trying to get past Nicholas Roos. That's the battle that we're seeing there. Roos at the same time was trying to get past Timo Jungling. That's not going to happen. There is the Door Motorsport driver of Juha Valtonen from Finland. That's really impressed me so far this weekend, has Valtonen. Not seen much of him this year in the KZ categories, but pushing strong in this one. As I say that, down the inside goes Timo Jungling and delivers an almighty blow there to the likes of Valtonen. Roos trying to get past as well, but he's got the pressure of Alessio Pacini just behind. This is quite a lengthy scrap we've got here as around the outside there goes Nicholas Roos, trying to hold on to it. The South African, who has been plagued with some dramas over the course of this one, as when he's finished the race, it's always been inside the top 10. However, he did suffer that DNF after a mechanical failure in his second qualifying heat of the weekend. But he's not let that distract him, and he's pushed forward so far in this one. Now, investigation flag for Artem Sevrukin. Now, this is interesting, and I think this might be jump starts, because at the start of that race, we just don't know what happened. I saw karts move, I saw karts didn't move. Was there an indication of someone who jumped early? Let's have a look at it. And the initial getaway, who goes first? Well, going first actually was Dion van Verven. He moved first. There was a kart in the background as well that also went early, but I didn't see any movement there from Artem Sevrukin. So not sure then what that investigation is for. But I'm sure I'll do some digging later on today in the lunch break. Sevrukin, though, in the meantime, is not going to worry about that investigation flag. He's focusing on trying to break away an even bigger gap. He's opened it up now to just under 2 seconds after setting the fastest lap of the race. Him pushing now a 57.490. Very quick pace out there as we keep an eye on this battle here. This is still Jean-Louis holding on to second place. Orlov has found himself up now into third place. He's got past Bajel, he's got past Youngling. Youngling as well pushing himself up in this as further back in the field. There is Valtonen pushing himself up as well. He's got the likes of Eric Holm, Nicholas Roos, Tonteri just behind as well. Paavo Tonteri is a driver who has impressed me also. Really good results in the early stages of this qualifying heats phase of the weekend. And right now in the Super Heats as well, looking very strong. We're seeing a smattering of other investigation flags going out there as well. In fact, a lot of investigation flags going out. So I think these are all for the start of that race. And yes, Dion van Verven is one of those drivers, but he doesn't need to worry about that because he's already out of this race. Oh dear, lengthy bit of dust getting picked up there. And well, because of that, we didn't really get to see who it was through the dust there. But someone further back in the field, certainly having some drama there. But everyone still running, just the, well, two retirements actually in this one, of course. Dion van Verven we saw at the start of this race, and Emmanuel Mai for Door Motorsports. He is another retirement. Not sure if that's out on the circuit. Now, I can see out the commentary box window a kart going very, very slowly at the back of the field, and I think that might be the 560 of Luis Alves, unfortunately, who has now pulled it off the circuit. And that's just ahead of where these leaders are about to come through right now, as Matis Proust becomes the latest driver under investigation. And yes, confirmation, there it is. Luis Alves, the driver from Portugal. And I believe that will be his weekend over. Started this one right at the back of the field. He needed to get through past the cutoff, but that retirement there means he will not make the final, and he will go no further this weekend in his home country, which is a stark shame for him. Eyes still on this battle. Morgato, Roos, Tonteri there, Matti Rittinen involved in that battle. There's the Falcon cut there, Jens Trier trying to fight his way through as well. Matis Proust, Maximilian Schleiber, Nacho Tunion, Igor Nozov, Bill Kutzkov all and around that area as well. You can see them just behind, but keeping an eye on this one. Morgato is on a charge in this one, up 3 positions. Wanted to see if he could get past Nicholas Roos, who unfortunately now has dropped down to P9. As eyes on this one here as well. Morgato's under pressure from Tonteri. And Tonteri is a driver to be worried about this weekend, because I mentioned it earlier, has been looking very strong here. Valtonen under pressure. We saw him lose out on positions earlier on in this race. He's hoping he doesn't lose any more here as across the line. There's some close racing there up in the front stages. Jean-Louis now down to third place. Maxim Orlov has got into second. So Orlov now into P2. That gap 2.7 seconds. Eyes on this. Through goes Roos on Valtonen. Puts a cut between himself and that is Morgato. Morgato as well, not close enough for the attackers. Whoa, down the inside there. Timo Jungling straight down the inside of Jean-Louis and pushes him down to P4. And now the driver from Switzerland is on a downwards trajectory here. He's back in his original starting spot of this race after having a pretty decent getaway here. Right now, he's on the back foot. He has got the likes of Alessio Pacini right on that rear bumper. We watch that battle now as they head through turn number 1, up towards 160 kilometers an hour and down the inside through turn number 2. What you saw there, Spagel trying to follow suit as well. Just not quite close enough for the 2024 European champion in the KZ2 category. Stays behind, holds on to position. We're on lap 10 of 13, and still Sevrukin extends his lead 2.9 seconds from the rest of the field. But there, Orlov, Jungling, Pacini, Louis from Spurgel, Eric Holm from Nicholas Roos, Valtonen still holding on inside that top 10. Morgato just behind this battle as well in that top 10. Paavo Tontteri not able to get past. There is your race leader going through shot. You can see the size of the gap between himself and Orlov. There is third place, fourth, and then the battle for P5 on your screen right now, being led by Spagel, Luye, Home, Ruse, Valtonen, Morgato, Tontteri, Rittinen, Bol, Kutskov, Tunion, Nozov, the top 16 at the moment. Biggest mover out on circuit is between two of them. Alessio Piccini, who's up 10 places in P4, is having a very good run. The same as the Door Motorsport driver from Poland, Karol Pasovic, who's up 10 places into P22. He's doing exactly what he needs as we cut to a replay here of the move we just saw on Jean-Louis. Timo Jungling just squeezing his way past through turn number 9 on the downward path towards turn 11, 12 and 13 just a couple of laps ago. And he's put that into play right now, and he's already opened up quite a healthy gap between himself and Alessio Piccini behind. Gap 0.8 of a second. Eyes on this one across the line. This is Morgato, Valtonen and Tontteri. Valtonen just getting past Tontteri, pushing himself up, but big send down the inside there from the CRG. Paavo Tontteri trying to get involved with Valtonen, does get involved with Valtonen, but he's going to have the inside line in towards turn 5. This will be good for Morgato. He's going to allow him to break away, and this will be good for the likes of Paavo Tontteri, who's trying to close in behind them. Slots into position. So again, we'll keep a close eye on all these battles as again down the inside. Tontteri this time, I think, gets it done, holds on to it, and yes, up into P10. Paavo Tontteri can be delighted with that one and moves up into a nice position now. We go on to the final lap of this race, and at the moment the top 3 are settled and clear. At the moment, Sevrukin has not been beaten. He is under investigation, of course. We saw that at the start of this race, but we have no idea what it is for. Pole position in time qualifying, 5 out of 5 qualifying heat wins, and now he is looking to maximize his points. 325 intermediate classification points to start on pole position, ahead of Mateo Spurgel, who at this moment in his position would be starting on that front row in P2. But again, let's see what happens, because of course there is another race to come after this one for the KZ2s. Into the final couple of corners then. Artem Sevrukin has looked absolutely unstoppable here as the checker flag goes out to Artem Sevrukin. He takes the win in KZ2 Super Heat 1 across the line. It is Artem Sevrukin from Maxim Orlov, Timo Jungling from Alessio Piccini. Mateo Spurgel finishes in P5, and he secures with that P5 a top start as well. Okay, I'm gonna eat my words on this because a multitude of 5-second time penalties have just been applied to the drivers, and for Artem Sevrukin, one of those has just been applied. The same for the likes of, I think as well, Maxim Orlov. Yeah, Maxim Orlov also got one. So now Timo Jungling is effectively your race winner at the end of that one. It changes the intermediate classifications a little bit as well. Jungling now goes up to 3rd. Spurgel still 2nd, and Sevrukin still leading that one. But for Superheat A, so those investigations certainly came into something then. A grand total of, I think, about 7 5-second time penalties came out at the end of that one. All applied, so an almighty one. So the actual result then, Timo Jungling from Artem Sevrukin, Alessio Piccini from Mateo Spagel finishing in P4, and it's Eric Home from Nicholas Ruse, Matthias Morgato from Maxim Orlov finishing in P8 after that race. Juha Valtonen finishing in P9 ahead of Martti Rittinen, then it's Kirill Kutskov from Nacho Tunion. Jean-Louis also received a 5-second time penalty. He's dropped down to 13th place ahead of Maximilian Schleimer. Artur Lane from Victor Larsen, Eli Goldstein from Simon Reckenmacher, Karol Pasovic from Santiago Ribeiro. Then it's Paavo Tontteri. He also received a post-race time penalty. Len Neisch and Enzo Bull also receiving one, drops him down to 23rd place. Ken Algri and Matilda Pats finishing in 24th and 25th. Josip Vey from Emma Felbermeyer, Gianni Andresani, Francisco Paredes, Igor Nozov, Julius Lanson, Matis Pruj, Jens Reuer, rounding out the 33 finishers. There was the look at the start, and well, yeah, so many drivers, what looked to be a jump start because so many didn't move, or was it just an illusion there from our picture? But according to race control, it wasn't an illusion. They could see exactly who jump started at what point, and so many drivers received a time penalty. There, though, Dion van Verven, who was one of those recipients of an in-race 5-second time penalty, unfortunately ended his race broken at the side of the circuit and going no further. I think he still makes the final. He has dropped down in the intermediate classification, but that is not the result he will have wanted. For the rest of the field, though, fantastic battles in the infield sectors. Drivers trying to make their positions gained. You had the likes of Maxim Orlov getting his way through, some dust getting kicked up in the early stages, but it was Sevrukin who was leading the way for the majority of it, but that time penalty coming back to bite him at the end. There was the last of the retirements in the race. Luis Alves, unfortunately, on lap number 7, breaking down and going no further. The Portuguese driver will not make the final. There was Timo Jungling down the inside, the eventual race winner at the end of that one after all of those penalties being applied. This was Morgato as well getting the moves done, moving past the likes of Juha Valtonen, pushing himself up the order, but across the line, checker flag would come out, would go the way of Artem Sevrukin. It would be Timo Jungling taking the win at the end of that race after that 5-second time penalty applied. Well, that's a bit of a shaky end then to the first of the KZ races, but we've still, or KZ2 race I should say, but we've still got KZ2 Super Heat 2 coming up next. That is lined up, ready to go on your screen. And again, there has been some developments with tyres on this one, especially on the front row of the grid, but we will dive and delve into that one a little bit later on, and can confirm all drivers looking to deploy them on the left-hand side of their kart. But over the course of yesterday, it was Daniel Vasily who delivered some fantastic results after starting it second in qualifying. We caught up with him after his qualifying heats. Here with our pole sitter for Super Heat 2 tomorrow, Daniel Vasily. Brilliant result for you, and what a way to end a day, a pole position.
Thank you so much. To be honest, I didn't expect to win all the hits today, but yeah, it was a happy surprise, and well, let's hope to keep it up also tomorrow.
Let's talk about those races, because of course they've been tough at the start, getting away, but you've managed to hold off a lot of drivers who've been very quick out there. Tell us just how has it been to race around here today?
Was pretty, honestly, the track is amazing. I really like it a lot, but the wind is quite difficult to be, especially in the first place, because sometimes, and especially the heat before was a lot of wind, and I don't know, especially and the first corner was behaving from lap to lap was behaving quite strange, but yeah, I was keeping it calm through that part of the track and pushing in the others.
Tomorrow as well is going to be a busy day. You've got Super Heats to deal with. You'll be starting alongside a driver, Marcus Kayak, who has been nailing the race starts here. Is that a concern for you?
No, not for me.
Not for you. You're confident about what you can do tomorrow. Brilliant. I love it. Well, what's the plan now for tonight? What are you going to do?
Well, we're going to think, analyze a bit of the data, and look where we can improve. Yeah, we'll try for sure some things tomorrow, and hopefully improvements.
Excellent. Well, great to chat there to Daniel Vasily, who starts this one on pole position. He is joined, like we're saying, from Marcus Kayak, who has deployed a brand new set of tyres on that left-hand side, so his starts have been good, and now he's got fresh rubber to help him out. Christian Bertuca and Corentin Rousseau round out row number 2. They'll have the likes of Roman Shaparov and Kasper Schulmans on row 3. Yenis Savico and Christian Decline round out row number 4. They'll have Tim Licati and Xavier Avramidis on row 5. Fotis Sotiropoulos goes from row 6. He'll have Dimitri Matviez for company. Tigran Banatian and Simon Billman go from row 2. Anatoly Kavalkin and Nicola Rossini round out row 8. And then it's David Walter and Kimi Tani, the last of the drivers, on the bottom side of the cutoff area. Drivers who are in danger. Gabriel Gomez is one of them. Gavin Luye as well on row number 10. Norton Andreasen and Artemi Troitsky on row 11. Marek Skrivan and Patrick Janssen on row 12. They'll have Jan Luca Wertmann and Alvar Simosvara on row 13. Jokubas Bagdonovicius starts on row 14. They'll have Samuel Luye alongside. Miguel Costa and Theo Blanc round out top 30 on row 15. Meniot Krosner and Florian Breitenbach on row 16. They'll have Zoe Florescu and Filippo Florentino on row 17. Vladimir Verkalantsev and Jose Antonio Panalta round out row number 18 and the 36 kart field. And like we just mentioned, drivers who are starting on that 10th row of the grid are below that cutoff and are in danger of not making it into that final later on today. So they need to gain these positions in the early stages of this race. Over the course of yesterday, Daniel Vasile won 3rd place and 4 qualifying heat wins after qualifying 2nd overall in the KZ2 class. Is looking to see what he can do today. Can he join the likes of Artem Sevrukin on the front row of that grid later on today? Green flag is waved at the back of the field. We are moments away from starting the final KZ2 Super Heat of the day here as 36 angry KZ2 karts rev their wagons as hard as they can. It was a dramatic start for the first Super Heat in KZ2. What will it be this time around? It's a perfect start for everyone, and it's a perfect start for Daniel Vasile. He holds on to the race lead. He was not worried about Marcus Kayak's race starts, as Kayak has tumbled down the order. The Maranello driver, I think, in a little bit of bother there. He's dropped down to around P5, maybe even to P6 now at the start of that race. Everyone gets through the pinch point of turns number 3 and 4 as they head downhill now in towards turn 5. David Walter on the outside there. You can see him on the Tony kart pushing his way up the hill in the white helmet. But again, everyone else has got away pretty cleanly right now. But Daniel Vasile holding on to that stop there. You've got Yanis Avico as well. You can see him on the other Tony kart. He's pushing his way up as well down the inside there. A beautiful getaway, I think, there. I think that was Marcus Kayak just trying to get any position he can back in this race. And yes, he moves back up to 3rd place. So another good start. It's Christian Decline, who's the other Maranello kart, who's put himself behind there. I think that's Casper Schormans. On board here with Christian Batuka for the Birolot team, currently in 2nd place, trying to chase down his fellow Birolot teammate of Daniel Vasile in the lead, but the gap has already opened up to 0.4 of a second as well. That's quite a bit of dust that's kicked up. And it looks like everyone is still going in this race, so unsure who went off the circuit there, but we'll try and figure that one out. It may have been Nicola Rossini. He's dropped down a few positions. It might have been Artemi Troitsky as well, because he's actually just lost out on about 4 places in the opening part of this lap. He's fixated then on the top runners. Vasile from Batuka, Kayak from Rousseau, Schormans from Decline, Savico in 7th place, Shaparov from Matviev. Soteropoulos is currently rounding out the top 10. Lacati from Gomez, Rossini from Volta, doing a good job in P14. Again, for Gomez, he needs to dig deep on this one if he wants to try and make it into that final. With this run, he was just on that cutoff. He's made it past now. He's inside the cutoff now, running in P12. He might be okay just to squeeze in to that one as David Walter sends it down the inside there through turn number 2. Gets another change there. Here's a look at maybe who had run wide there. Oh dear, yeah, very wide there. That looks like one of the IPKs going very slowly, and that, I believe, may have been Max Scriven, or it could have been another, one of the other IPKs down there. It might have actually been Vladimir Verkalantsev in the 502 IPK kart. So, and some drivers having a shaky moment out there. Back on board with Christian Batuka, and well, I think he's pretty determined here to get past his teammate. He has not dropped off the back of him right now. And Daniel Vasile and Batuka, they are drivers who have not deployed fresh tyres. They deployed them yesterday, as we're going to get a chop and change here. Matviev is going to look to the inside now with Shaparov. Can he get that move done? Yes, I believe he can, but there's contact down at turn number 2. I think they all stay on the track, and I think that was Christian Decline just missing the braking zone there and just clipping that rear bumper of Shaparov in front, and yet Decline has tumbled down the order. He's gone down to 13th place now as well. In the pit lane comes the 501. Artemi Troitsky, that is the other IPK. That actually might have been the driver who we saw go off the track at turn number 1 because he went well off the circuit. And if he's got quite a bit of damage to the undercarriage of that kart, he might think, right, let's get it back in and see if we compare it ready for later. But I don't think with where he started and where he's heading right now, he'll be even making it to that final. So I think that is all she wrote for Artemi Troitsky, unfortunately, for the IPK team. On lap 5 then, Vasily leads the way. Ratuka still there in 2nd place, but now has got the company of Marcus Kayak just behind. Kayak has not been able to get the start he wanted like he got yesterday. Absolutely nailed the starts in the second half of yesterday. Certainly delivering some good results for Marcus Kayak. A couple of 2nd places and a win. He's never been outside the top 10 in the qualifying heats phase after he qualified 17th overall. On board again with Ratuka just to see his situation, or his view of the situation, and he can see in front, he's not closing on Vasily. Checks over the shoulder and can see that Kayak is there. Kayak, though, looking a little bit slow out of turn 13. Maybe a slight misgear there, but that's given a little bit more breathing space to Ratuka here to really focus on getting to the end of this one. Again, you can see the tyres, and look how much the rubber is just peeling off those tyres there as they reach 161 kilometers an hour into the braking zone of turn 2. Again, this time around, Kayak has closed in, checks to the inside. Ratuka slams that door closed, denies him the chance of getting past. This will give Vasily a huge gap as, oh dear, 2 karts off the track there, the 525 and the 538. This is Anatoly Kavalkin and Miguel Costa out of the race, and they're not even going to get it restarted. No, Marshall's putting them well off the circuit. It's not going to get them going, and unfortunately for them, I believe they're both out of this race as a change for 2nd place as well, as we cut to that one. Kayak has got his way through, past Ratuka, and Christian Ratuka is now down into 3rd place. Again, doesn't need to worry too much. He's got Corentin Rousseau just behind us. Gomez making more moves there, I think, getting past Shaparov for P8. Confirm that a little bit later on. Making a good move here. Here is how that move happened. This is in towards turns 8 and 9. And yeah, just straight down the inside. No drama there. That's actually quite a nice little move there from Marcus Kayak. Just under braking, carrying the speed through turn 7. Super easy to run wide there. We have seen that done by drivers, and we're going to see it done by more drivers here. Kasper Schurman's running a little bit wide there at the exit of turn number 10. See him kicking up a little bit of dust there, a little bit squirrely. Will allow the likes of Savico, Matviev and Gomez to close in, and confirmation Gomez did get past Shaparov that previous lap. He's now inside the top 10, into P8 now. So Gomez definitely looking to secure a spot in that final. Where will that spot be, though? I suspect a little further back, though, in that field. Well, there is Miguel Costa and Anatoly Kavalkin. Where did they start? Well, Anatoly Kavalkin started P15 in this race, so he was just inside that cutoff. Where was Miguel Costa? There's the Gomez overtake. So, yes, down the inside. Nicely done there. Miguel Costa started this race P29, so Miguel Costa definitely hasn't made the final. But Kavalkin, it's going to be a tough one for him because he was just inside that cutoff area on this race. But out of this one, might find himself in a bit of bother at the end of this one. But Gomez, however, who started it outside it in P19, certainly been delivering in this one. I'd say up into P18, or P8, I should say. Just saw him on that replay get that move past Shaparov. Again, good overtakes all the way throughout this field as the sun continues to shine. As whoa, that's a huge side-by-side moment there for the two Tony Kart teammates. And my goodness, Javier Ramirez trying to get past Nicola Rossini. That is for 13th place, gets it done. And now the likes of, well, everyone behind is starting to close in. You've got Tigran Bernatian and Alvar Simonsvara, who's on a charge in this race. 10 places gained now. He's up into P16 and is looking to get into that final. Is Alvar Simonsvara on that CRG. And now I think both of them getting through. Yeah, Nicola Rossini dropping down to 16th place. Simonsvara now inside the top 15. And Luca Wertmann seeing a warning flag. Won't be too happy with that one and doesn't want too many of those. So we'll keep an eye on the two biggest movers in this one. Gomez in 8th place and Alvar Simonsvara in 15th. Both of them on an 11th place gain here from outside the cut-off area. Looking to capitalise in this race, and so is the Honda karts in the background there. That's Norton Andreasen trying to get involved as off the circuit, and going no further is Theo Blanc. Unfortunately, the driver of the 530 from France going no further, and that is a huge shame for him. And that is a big blow for Theo Blanc. Again, he was outside the cutoff. He started at P30. And now out of this race, he will not make it to that final. Eyes on this one here, though. Battle still happening. That's Yanis Savico in the middle of that battle. Now, he's currently in 6th place right now. He has got the likes of Dimitri Matviez. He's got Gomez. He's got Shormers that I think he's just managed to get past. And, yeah, he's gone down a little bit there. So I'm still focusing on a lot of battles. We're in lap 11 now of 13. An update of positions. Vasily leads from Kayak, Bartuka from Rousseau, Shormans from Savico. It's the battle that we can see here. Matviev just behind. Gomez now at the back of that train. Trying to close in. You can see here, though, well, the likes of Quentin Rousseau not too comfortable here. Shormans has closed in. He's looking to see if he can get up into P4 now. This would help him out. Rousseau at the moment in this position, currently sits 7th in the intermediate classifications. Batuka's got himself up to 4th. Kayak's 3rd. Dan Vasily getting himself up to 2nd in the points with a win here. And will join Sevrukin on the front row of that order, on board with Christian Batuka. And you can see there in 3rd place, slowly losing touch with Marcus Kayak. Shormans, I believe, now has got past Rousseau. That overtake happened over the start-finish line just now. So Kasper Shormans now up into P4 as we watch Christian Batuka go for a lap here around the 1.5 kilometre circuit. You can see there, again, now climbing back uphill. This is through turn 6 and 7 in towards turn 8 and 9. And again, drivers have had difficulty there. This is a little further back in the field. This is Sotiropoulos having to deal with the likes of David Walter. These two battling away, currently just inside the top 10. 10th place for the Greek national and for David Walter as well. Really pushing through in this one. We'll have to see what happens over the course of these next few laps as we are on the final lap of the race now. Daniel Vasile looking to claim a front row start alongside his teammate Artem Sevrukin. He's not been able to beat him so far this weekend. 3rd place in his first qualifying heat for Daniel Vasile, but delivered in the rest of them. Was out-qualified by Sevrukin as well, but it's all going to come down to that final. Who will have the mentality to get these karts to the end of that almighty long 20-lap final that they have got coming up later on today. But Daniel Vasile has certainly delivered in this one as he makes his way into the final sector of the track. Through the final corner then, and clear by 3 seconds. It is Daniel Vasile for Romania, starting on the front row for the final alongside Artem Sevrukin. You can catch that final later on today at around 1:40 local time here in Portugal. So make sure you set your alarms for that one. Christian Batuka finishing in P3 then ahead of Kasper Schulmans. Corentin Rousseau finishing in P5 ahead of Dmitry Matviev. Gabriel Gomez finishing that one in P7, I think has done enough to get into that final. A brilliant effort from just outside the cutoff, starting in this race, P19. 12 places gained to finish in P7. Yanis Saviko finishing in P8 ahead of Shaparov. Then it's Soteropoulos finishing in 10th place ahead of David Walter. Tim Licati from Xavier Avramidis. Tigran Banatian from Alvar Simonsvara, who I think also may have just done enough there to squeeze in to the final. I'll have to look at the full scores during the lunch break, but Alvar Simonsvara, I believe, might have just done enough there with that 11th place gained. Finish in P15. Christian Decline then ahead of Patrick Janssen. Kimitani from Nicola Rossini. Merrick Scrivan from Simon Billman, running at the 21st spot on the track. Jan-Luca Wertmann from Norton Andreasen. Gavin Luye from Jokubas Bagdonovicius, finishing in P25. Samuel Luye from Menihat Krosner. Filippo Florentino finishing in 28th place. Florian Breitenbach finishing in 29th, ahead of Zoe Florescu. Vladimir Verkalantsev and Jose Antonio finishing in 32nd place. The retirements and most likely not making it into the final: Theo Blunt, Anatoly Kavalkin, Miguel Costa and Artemi Troitsky. But there on your screen, Daniel Vasile, another superb result for him. And we'll start on that front row later on today in the KZ2 final. Let's see how it all unfolded. The start here for everyone was good, but Marcus Kayak there just getting bogged down off the line. And there you can see battling and just holding on to 4th place in the early stages of that race, would slowly close his way back up to a P2 finish, but that is not the start he will have wanted. For other drivers though, like Gabriel Gomez, a really good start for Gomez outside of the cutoff, pushing his way through. That, I believe, was Artemi Troitsky running wide at turn number 1, the driver of the 501 IPK factory team, later retiring. And yes, that's a lot of dust on the back of his kart, so I can confirm that was most likely him off at turn number 1. More battles happening thick and fast later on in the race. Christian Decline getting involved in some moments, unfortunately dropping down to P15. Then later we would lose Miguel Costa and Anatoly Kavalkin, both of those out of the race, and I believe out of the weekend, definitely for Miguel Costa. Not sure for Anatoly Kavalkin, as he was inside the cutoff at the start of this race. We'll have to check the points again. Later on, the overtake, Marcus Kayak and Christian Batuka came on lap number, I think, 9 of that race. But as they came through, the rest of the field certainly had good runs there. Again, down the inside, superb driving there from the likes of Xavier Avramidis, battling away with his teammates, David Walter and Nicola Rossini. Rossini would drop down the order. And then the last retirement of the race, unfortunately, the Frenchman Theo Blanc out in the 5:30. And that certainly wouldn't go his way. There was more action happening here as backwards would go Patrick Janssen, but the checker flag would come out and Daniel Vasile would claim that checkered flag, and he will start on the front row with Artem Sevrukin for the KZ2 final later on today. Make sure you don't miss that one. KZ2 Masters now about to head out onto the circuit, and again, all the way throughout this weekend, it has been one driver who has been delivering the results, and that is the driver of the 701, Anthony Abbas. We caught up with him after his qualifying heats yesterday, and the highlights from yesterday as well, kick-starting, showing what Anthony Abbas could do. KZ2 Masters on Friday kick-started well for Anthony Abbas, the pole sitter on Thursday's qualifying, delivering another 2 qualifying heat wins to end the day on top with maximum points. Heat 3, however, would be a disaster for Victor Jimenez. A jump start would put him well down in the field, but Alessio Lamartina and Daniel Bray would take the Heat 3 second and third, with Daniel Bray and Davide Fore in Heat 2 who would round out the top 3. But the top 5 at the end of all the racing would see Anthony Abbas still with the maximum points, delivering a near-perfect weekend, despite the difficulties he may have faced at the start of the racing. Daniel Bray as well, a brilliant end to his 126 points to his name, ahead of Davide Forti's 123 points. Jurien Boss would end the day with 106, with Andrei Serafim rounding out the KZ2 Masters top 5 with 104 points. Well, there was a quick look back at what happened over the course of yesterday, and while that happened, the engines fired up and the drivers made their way out onto the circuit. Let's take you through that full starting lineup. The 2024 Vice-European champion Anthony Abbas starting this one on pole position after so far a perfect weekend. Pole position and 3 qualifying heat wins. Daniel Bray from New Zealand starts on row number 1 as well, joining him alongside Davide Fore, multiple champion on row number 2. We'll have Jurien Boss for company as well on that row. Then you'll have Andrei Serafim and this year's 2024 European champion Riccardo Nallon on row 3. Julien Canon and Ludovic Badet go from row 4. They'll have Andrei Nicastro and Alessio Lamartina on row 5. Victor Jimenez and Timo Timosyanov go from row number 6. Yildiz Vaca and Gregory Ledar round at row 7. They'll have Vincent Cossard and Roberto Profico on row 8. Hugo Marerios and Alessandro Manetti go from row 9. Paolo Martins and Eduardo Martins go from row number 10. Ilsho Bragamov and Scott Presley go from row 11. They'll have Mark Volhauser and Sebastian Ladar on row 12. Oliver Luca and Andre Di Andrada on row 13. They'll have Adriano Amaral and David Malcolm on row 14. Valda Blaserio and Andre Martins round out row number 15. They'll have Roberto Avanzato and Enzo Pedovano on row 16. Ennio Gandolfi and Riccardo Avila go from row 17. And is Maurizio Giacchetti out on circuit? The answer to that is no. The driver of the 733 not taking part today either, which is a big shame. So 34 runners then in this race. All of them will make it to the final, of course. There's no cut-off for KZ2 Masters. So all of these drivers will have an opportunity to race in that last race later on. There is Ennio Gandolfi, just last to get into his grid slot, leaving it quite a lengthy time to get into his starting grid position. Of course, that will just mean that everyone else cools their tyres down even more. Green flag waves then at the back. We are ready to get this one started. And can Anthony Abbas make it a perfect weekend at this point of the weekend? As the lights start to shine, but the lights have not gone out. There's hands going up, and I can tell you why. There's a Birrell that is not started on the grid, and I think that may be, I think it is Andre Di Andrada on the Birrell Arts chassis in the 709. There he is on your screen. He's had problems, and I think it's getting it into gear he's had troubles with. Well, he's going to try and get it started now, if it may have stalled. And yes, I think he's got it going now. Yes, he has. So he's back in this one. That means he will start at the back of the field now. Well, let's see if he can get back into his original starting spot. We'll have to wait and see. But there we go. A abandoned start then for the last super heat before the lunch break. And let's see what happened there. Ah, yeah, you can see his hands were waving in the air. He knew any problem. And look for this, he was able to get it restarted. And yeah, that was a shaky one, because that actually happened with the lights procedure going. And I think for some people, they actually thought it was a race start. And yeah, it was an abandoned start. There you go. You can see marshals. And yeah, there you go. Everyone was aware of that one in the end. So good to see. But a bit of a scary moment there if you were Andre Di Andrada. You never like to see an engine stall on a starting grid. And let's say he was lucky he was spotted by the hard-working marshalling team. And, of course, race director Martin Bean on the gantry. Now, of course, he's looking into the sun on this one. It's, like you say, look at the sky today. A drastic difference from the weather we've seen over the course of this weekend so far. We had torrid rain in the warm-ups on Wednesday, Thursday as well. We had rain over the course of qualifying and the first of the qualifying heats. Yesterday was a nice day. Cloud cover but the problem that the drivers had to face was wind. It was a very windy day yesterday, and speaking to some of the drivers, they were telling us about that. Of course, they're reaching top speeds of 160 kilometers an hour in a kart that doesn't weigh a lot, and a big gust of wind that hits you can affect you at high speeds there, which is why we probably saw some drivers really squirrely under braking right to the back of the field. This time around, looks like we are all good. Again, last drivers just getting themselves into slots. I can confirm there that Andre Di Andrada has slotted in behind Ennio Gandolfi. So there you can see the 709 losing out on his original starting position. Green flag waving then once again at the back. Second time's a charm for KZ2 Masters. Are we going this time around? It looks to be all good throughout the field as the lights procedure starts. 4 red lights go out and we are racing. It's a brilliant start for the front row. Can Daniel Bray get the jump on Anthony Abbas? The answer is no. Abbas holds on to the start of this one and leads the field of 35 karts all the way to turn number 3 and 4 here in Portimão, down in towards turn number 5. It's a great getaway for everyone else. There you can see Davide Forte holding on to 3rd place. He's had a good start there. He's had no drama from anyone around him. Jorian Boss as well in the 732. I think, dropped down just a little bit here as they try to focus in this last race before their final later on today. Let's see who's going to be starting where. But Anthony Abbas at the moment is looking for that perfect score and to start on pole for that final. Up the hill they go then at the end of this opening lap through turns 15, 16 and now 17. Back over the start-finish straight. Let's call them over the line as the 723 going no further in this race. That is Timur Timosyanov out of this race with the CRG team. And yeah, he tumbles to the back of the grid, and I don't even think he started the race earlier on. That was a huge dive down the inside there. Was that Andre Nicastro trying to get the move done on Ludovic Bardet there? That was a big lunge down the inside. We'll keep an eye on that one, but it is Anthony Abbas who leads the way ahead of Daniel Bray. Davide Forte from Andre Serafim, and it is Jorian Boss from Ludovic Bardet, Andre Nicastro from Ricardo Nallon. Julien Guénon currently in 9th place. Alessio Lamartina just behind as well, rounding out the top 10. Vincent Cossard is there. Benetti from Profico. Jimenez from Vaca. And it's Volhauser from Ladar. Herrerios in 18th place. On Martins in 19th. Sebastian Ladar rounding out the top 20 at the moment. On to lap 3 we go. And the train starting to open up here, but Anthony Abbas hasn't broken away as much as he did over the course of yesterday. He has got only a 3/10 lead ahead of Daniel Bray as Davide Forte sets the fastest lap of the race as well. He's just behind there in 3rd place. And he's also looking to see if he can close in on this one. Only towards turn 8 and 9. And Davide Forte not at this moment able to squeeze that way through. We've seen the overtakes into that corner. We've seen the overtakes down here as well. Super tricky to get it done, though. It's so easy to defend on this circuit. But if you over-defend, you can really easily lose those positions. And we have seen examples of that over the course of this weekend in all 3 of the categories. Across the line then, on to lap 4. Still no change between the top 3, but Davide Forte is looking for it now, down the inside, locking up the front axle. There is Davide Forte, he locked up the front wheel, and that was a huge moment. He's probably flat-spotted that one now. And that is not what you want to see at all, just straight down the inside on Daniel Bray. Bray squeezing the door there. And this will just give the green light to Anthony Abbas to get away, and he's seen that green light. He's just set the fastest lap of the race as well on that previous lap. So that's certainly a good time to do it. So Abbas lead still from Daniel Bray. Davide Forte with that first attempt of an overtake. That huge lockup, just putting him on the back foot now. And he's going to have to think about Andre Serafim now, the driver from Portugal, in his home circuit. trying to close in, and you can see him there. He's tucking his head down. He's got the confidence there. He feels he can catch up. He has got the likes of Jurrien Boss also for company. Jurrien Boss, who started this one on the second row of the grid. Only down one spot, looking to see if he can try and close that gap back up again. Large gap between themselves and the field behind. Sixth place downwards sees Andrea Nicastro leading that next train. Ricardo Nallon still there as well, with Ludovic Bardet in 8th place. Alessia Lamartina from Julien Ganon, who's in that fight. They've got Cossard, Manetti, Profico as well in that battle. But eyes on this one here. Anthony Abbas, the 2024 Vice-European champion. Second in the FIA Series this season. Priming himself ready for what is to come here in Portimão. Through turn number 1 they go, down the hill. And again, this top 5 is very, very close right now. Daniel Bray has closed the gap back to 0.2 of a second, as Jurrien Boss had a first attempt there on Andre Serafim. Wasn't able to get the move done, stays behind in P5 right now as we wind it up in towards Sector 2. And Anthony Abbas looks a little bit faster in the Sector 2 stage. It seems to be Sector 3 where he's struggling. Daniel Bray able to close in that final sector, and there you can see Davide Fore slowly starting to drop off the back. I think he's waiting to see how that fight in front unfolds, or is he nursing a slightly damaged front right tyre there after that huge lockup earlier on, after that attempted overtake on Daniel Bray. Well, Serafim holding on to P4 right now. Nicastro in P6 is up 3 places, and let's have a look who has made the biggest moves out there. Alessandro Manetti has gained 6 places. He's currently running in P12 at the moment. Mark Vollhauser gaining 7 places. He's currently in P16. Alessia Lamartina has just got past Ludovic Bardet on that last lap as well. He's got himself up into 8th place. And Ennio Gandolfi as well, having a good race, up 6 places, currently running in P27. So some quick chargers throughout the field at the moment. We keep an eye on this one as we're on lap 7 of 13. Half race distance has elapsed. And for right now, Anthony Abbas still looking comfortable. Gaps opened up to the biggest it's been so far. Just over 0.4 of a second, showing the speed there over the start-finish light. They go through the speed trap at 126 kilometers an hour, and they accelerate up to 160 kilometers an hour downhill, all the way up the gears. They hit the top rev limiter in 6th gear, and they reach that top speed of over 100 miles an hour. Absolutely astonishing speeds for the gearbox classes here this weekend at the Algarve circuit. Jurrien Boss again on that rear bumper. Has already had 1 attempt to get up into P4. We saw that on earlier on through turns 3 and 4. Failed to get it completed. This time around looks a little bit stronger. Can he get it done through turn number 1? As he tries to wind it up the hill now in towards turn 16. Again, it's very easy to just lose a bit of time, and he lost a lot of time through turn 16 there. Looked like he just understeered through the turn. Had no traction through the corner. Again, a lot of these drivers will have chosen whether or not to deploy fresh tyres or not. And again, over the course of this one, a lot have. In fact, it'd be easy to tell you who hasn't done it. In fact, no one hasn't done it. Everyone has put on a brand new set of slicks on the left-hand side of their cart. There is someone going no further in this race. Oh wow, in fact, I think that's Jurrien Boss. It is the 7:32, as I was looking down at my timing screen, is out of this race. Jurrien Boss will tumble down the order. Now, what on earth happened there? We saw him trying to make the move on Andre Serafim earlier on. And was that another move at turn number 2 and 3 that just didn't go his way? Well, he saw that he lost a lot of time on the exit of turn 16, so I'm not sure if it's mechanical in nature. He just went off the track himself. I certainly missed it if we did see it on the live feed, but hopefully if we have got a replay, that would be great to see it. And on cue, here it is, and oh, it's just mechanical. It's mechanical for Jurjen Bos, and out of this race goes the driver from the Netherlands. Well, the only good thing he can take from this is that he knows he's still got a spot in that final, but he will be starting it a lot further down than I think he would like to. This is further down in the field. This is Ludovic Badet, currently running in 8th place. He's got, well, quite a train forming behind him in the form of Julien Ganon from France. He's also got Vincent Cossard there as well in P10. Manetti and Profico in that battle. Profico at the back of it, but it looks like Vincent Cossard just getting the move done on Julien Ganon. Ganon back down to P10 now in this race. So battles happening behind Ludovic Badet. And he focused to try and lead this group. There is Manetti as well. He's just got past Julien Ganon as well. Ganon on the back foot here, losing out on 2 positions there in the space of half a lap. I say looking very quick here is the driver of the CRG, Vincent Cossard from France. Right now behind Ludovic Badet, fellow countryman, running as a privateer this weekend and pushing as hard as he can. Try and find a way through, not doing so up the hill. Into the final couple of corners then, as we are on lap number 12 of 13. The last lap board will be out this time to Anthony Abbas, who is already at this point heading down in towards turn at number 5. There he is on your screen, coming through, and the gap 1.2 seconds, so he has slowly opened up that gap. He's looked calm and comfortable as I can hear an exhaust that's come off, and well, a car going very slowly there, the 730 of Ludovic Badet. Oh dear, we were just talking about him running around in 8th place and looking comfortable, but I believe the privateer now with that exhaust that's come off. But the question is how did it come off? Did it well, it's really come off now, and yeah, it's very loud. I can hear that from the commentary box, even with headphones on. It's coming out over that one, and that is a huge shame for Ludovic Badet, unfortunately, especially at this point of the race. Well, on to the final lap then. Anthony Abbas leads the way by 1.6 seconds now ahead of Daniel Bray. Davide Forte in 3rd place. Is going to, at the moment, not affect the top 3 in the intermediate classifications. Andre Serafim with a P4 here will put himself up into 4th in the intermediate classifications. Ricardo Nallon as well has bumped himself up to 5th in the points, despite the fact that he's not gained or lost any positions. So he's had a good run there. I think that's been helped by Julien Ganon, who's unfortunately dropped down to P10. But for Anthony Abbas, so far, so good. Continues his perfect scoring streak here. Maximum points going his way. And it's pole position for the final. Later on for the Frenchman, for Render Motorsport. Anthony Abbas takes the win ahead of Daniel Bray. Davide Forte finishes in 3rd ahead of Andre Serafim. Andre Nicastro finishing in P5 ahead of Ricardo Nallon. Alessio Lamartina ahead of Vincent Cossard finishing in P8. Alessandro Manetti finishing in P9 ahead of Julien Ganon, who rounds out the top 10. But there, Anthony Abbas for France has dominated here in Portugal. The setup has been there in the wet conditions and the dry conditions. And for the Render Motorsport team, they can certainly be happy with the results. They'll have to wait, though, until that final later on today for KZ2 Masters. They will be the last race of the weekend. That is due to start at around 20 past 2 local time here in Portugal. So again, set your alarms. There's a look at the full results at the end of that one. In 11th place is Roberto Profico Jindřich Vaca finishing in 12th place ahead of Victor Jimenez. Gregory Ladar from Hugo's Marerios rounding out the top 15. Mark Volhauser finishing in P16 ahead of Sebastian Ladar. Oliver Luca from Scott Presti. Boulder Blazario from Eduardo Martins. Paolo Martins from Ilse Bragimov. Enio Gandolfi from Andrea Amorel. That's Ricardo Avila from Andre de Andrada, rounding out the top 27 out on track. Amanzato finishing in 28th place from Malcolm. Pirovano finishing in 30th place from Andre Martins, finishing in 31st. The retirements, 3 of them from the race. Ludovic Badet with the exhaust problem. Jurgen Boss with a mechanical failure. Timur Timizyanov as well, not starting the race after, well, I think it broke down on the opening lap. And of course, the non-starter of Maurizio Giacchetti. But there on your screen, Anthony Abbas, another perfect score. He will start that final on pole later on today. Let's have a look at the start and highlights of these races. And for Anthony Abbas, brilliant getaway. Again, not concerned. There was the first and only attempt by Davide Foria getting past, and look at the huge time mark he left on the circuit there after that front right locking up. There was, unfortunately, Jurgen Boss retiring from the race, mechanical failure. We did see him lose a lot of speed up the hill. Maybe that was the start of it. We did see him run wide at one point later on in the race, though more overtakes happening thick and fast further down the field. Alessandro Minetti gaining 9 places in that race, and there unfortunately was Ludovic Badet losing out with that exhaust, but checker flag would come out. No drama for Anthony Abbas, and for the Renault Motorsport team, they are looking to start on pole position for that final later on today, with Daniel Bray starting alongside and joined by Davide Fore and Andre Serafim with them as well. Well, we are going to take a little bit of a break, but don't go anywhere. Finals coming up at around 1 o'clock today. Make sure you stay tuned for that one. If you are watching on YouTube, your stream is about to end, but don't fret, you will get a brand new link, so make sure you search for that one and share that one out far and wide. If you're watching on Facebook or motorsport.tv, don't worry, your broadcast is uninterrupted, and you'll have to wait 1 hour and 42 minutes until those finals kickstart with KZ, KZ2, and then KZ2 Masters here at the Cartódromo Internacional do Algarve in Portugal. Well, from myself, Anthony Jordan, we're going to take that break. We'll see you in a few moments' time for the Champions of the Future Shifters here in Portimão.
Racing Spirit was born out of the need to create a clothing line that could embody the passion and the experience that OMP gathered and cultivated working alongside the most successful racing teams of the last 50 years. Racing Spirit garments are made by enthusiasts for enthusiasts. They can be worn every day in leisure time, but especially on race venues, from the paddock of the hottest Formula One races to the service parks of winter rallies in all weather conditions. Racing Spirit offers a complete range of clothing and accessories for men and women, designed and developed in Italy, combining aesthetics, comfort, and functionality. Because of these features, it is the brand of choice of several prestigious motorsport outfits and organizations. Racing Spirit is the meeting point between high quality and Italian style, as well as the introduction of sustainable materials and innovations, such as the use of graphene. Racing Spirit offering comes with 4 options: cutting-edge designs and customization techniques. Lifestyle is a line of garments ideal for everyday and leisure wear, with refined style and innovative materials. Crew are custom garments of the highest quality that strengthen the visual identity of the team or organization. For instance, the choice of Skoda Motorsport and Dallara. Corporate is a full custom-designed clothing line for sizable organizations, such as Toyota Racing Development. Finally, the teamwear line for maximum creative freedom uses sublimation printing technology derived from OMP's racing experience. Similarly to the other Racing Force Group brands, Racing Spirit shares the same DNA of competing to be the first and ultimately become the reference in the market.
It makes life a lot easier out the track, so you don't have to worry about school and on-track performance and grades and all that sort of stuff.
The school understands exactly what I'm doing. They understand, how important it is for me, and the schedule that they, cater for me is really well balanced, and I really enjoy it.
It's a very fine balance between his sporting career and also his studies. He doesn't have to compromise on either. I'm very happy that Minerva has supported us through this journey.
The communication is great, and yeah, I'm enjoying it. I think MVA would help a lot of other races. A lot of people come into the track and asking about it. What do you do for homeschool? Like, how does it work? And I always say, Minerva, you need to contact them and get going with them, because it's made my life so much easier.